What would you do if you would get $100,000 in profit every month? Because that's what actually happened to one of my students, Mika. A few weeks ago, I did an interview with him and we were talking about how he actually reached his first six-figure month. So his first month where he made $100,000 in revenue. Now he actually scaled that to $400,000 per month in revenue and it's making over $100,000 in profit. We're gonna talk about this extreme scaling strategy and how he actually got there. So let's get started.
If you're someone who has scaled their store even to like a couple 100,000, made a couple 100,000 of revenue, there's like, you need to still like know that you don't know much about it. Like it's one product, one time scaling. There's a certain set of problems that come with it, but there's a whole lot of other problems that you've just gotten lucky and didn't come across. And like imagine scaling one store, and how many stores have you seen scale to 100K?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like countless.
Yes, and it's the same with everything, but it's really interesting that people are thinking about business as a completely different thing. If they go to study, obviously they're listening to their teacher. If they learn math, they're going to listen to their teacher. If they're going to learn boxing, surfing, whatever they do, they're going to listen to their teacher. But in business, they already know their shit. In business, it's all different. In business, you don't need a teacher. You're just going to make it by yourself. It just doesn't work that way. And
that's right. But
it's just interesting that people are having one bubble for everything and then one for business, because that's a special, sacred thing, which is completely different than everything else.
Yeah, and I think it even makes more sense. Like traditional like education system, if you go to a university or something, you learned a lot of skills. Yeah, it's having a degree is nice, yeah, but it really teaches you how to be an employee or an expert on a single job thing. But this directly teaches you how to make more money. So the money you invest in that is like, it's very measurable if it works or not.
Yep.
Which it probably will if you're like, if you're committing to it. Yeah.
Which it probably won't for everybody else, and for like 95 or like 99% of everybody. But if you actually do commit correct, yes, then yes. But it's also very interesting to see what people think about statistics, and they're always this special snowflake because they don't see the dropshipping community, they just see themselves, and they're special and they're going to be able to make it by themselves, and that's it. But in reality, I've seen hundreds of people do really well and hundreds of people do terribly bad, right? I've seen both, and I just see everything, what they have in common, what they're doing, what they're not doing, and it's hilarious to see. Most people who start dropshipping think in the next few months they will be rich, and that's it. Like in every single month they're going to think, but next month I'm going to be rich, but next month I'm going to be rich. They're thinking for small time frame, and also they don't understand what the statistics say. And the statistic says way over 90% of dropshippers fail miserably, lose money, don't start, watch videos, don't do shit. It's just reality.
It's insane how many people actually watch the YouTube videos but don't do anything. Some people sign up for Shopify, but maybe making a Facebook business account is a little bit too difficult, and they're scrolling on TikTok again, and suddenly they forget about it.
It's very sad to watch. But in the end of the day, if you look at
very small percentage,
if you look at the views on top viewed dropshipping videos, literally like 10 million views on the top viewed dropshipping video. There's not even close to top 10 million really good dropshippers, and that's one video. And it's just a sad reality, and you need to also understand that if you're not committing to this, don't do it. Like it's a waste of time. Don't watch the videos. Don't think about anything. It's just this cycle of watching something and then envisioning that you're already going to be rich. Like you're envisioning, because of you watching this video and seeing somebody else making it, you envision you being also that part of the small percentage. And I think even how Mosey was talking about this, like about you always think you're part of the smaller percentage. If you're playing lottery, that's why it works. Like people are thinking 1 out of 94, it's like 49 millions. It doesn't matter what the chances are, if it's 1 to 49 million or 1 to 200 million or 1 to 20. For them, it's
Yeah.
just I win or I lose. Like the
Yeah.
chances
Yeah.
almost are like 50-50 for them
Yeah.
because they basically think that they're the special thing and they're not part of the statistics at all. And it's just not a fact.
Yeah.
You are part of the statistic, and that's it.
Yeah. And then they see the views and think that, oh, now it's too saturated. Is it too saturated?
Yeah.
It's not too saturated. Higher you go, the less people there is.
Yeah.
And every product I've ever sold, you can literally see all the competition on Facebook if you go to ad libraries, and it's not a lot of people.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you're also, and I was talking about this in the last interview. I think it's very interesting to see the further you go into in the dropshipping journey, the more it makes sense that it's not everybody doing it. Because the first question you have here to like I asked myself when I got into dropshipping, why the fuck is not everybody doing this? Why is
Yeah.
not everybody just a full-time dropshipper? And the answer came along the way, because I had moments where I was so frustrated. I had no clue what to do. I literally didn't know where to go with myself, because I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I lost, like, I spent like years of my time just doing, like, understanding, doing bullshit and just wasting my time, more money. And there were so many moments where I was thinking, all right, is this worth it? I had tons of doubts, and I just understand now. Those are the moments which are going to cut out a percentage of the people, and then the next moment is again a percentage of the people, and again and again and again. And at the top of the iceberg, it's basically just so little, like such a little amount, because of all those
Yeah.
dropouts. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like experiencing problems at this point, it's a good thing. You experience a problem and you're like, yeah, again, it makes sense. That's why everybody's not doing it.
Yeah. And even at the starting level, people, of course, a lot of people want to start doing this thing. But
Yep.
then again, I think that you need to be in a certain situation mentally to actually push it through. And a lot of people might have a job that they kind of hate, but it's still, they don't hate it enough. It's like still okay, it feels kind of safe. They don't like it, but they don't make any changes in their life because it's not like really painful enough to get out of it.
Exactly. It's the same thing with having like a girlfriend with it, which is okay.
Yeah,
It's like it's not
exactly.
worth it to go out of the relationship, because everything is
Yeah.
kind of all right. I'm going home, everything's comfortable, things good. It's kind of okay. We're not in fights every day, so why should I go out? But this is not
Yeah.
how you should be thinking. You should not be striving for it's all right. I'm just an average guy who's going to have an average girlfriend, who's going to have an average job, who's going to like everything average. This is not what you should be wanting. And if you truly are going to be like, most people, unfortunately, obviously are going to be that average person, because average is average. But you should not be thinking but you should, like, some people are just not meant to be that. And
Yeah.
I've seen it just changes over time, where you actually put your standards extremely high. If I do something, my standard is a 10 out of 10 for everything. It does, like, I don't care about nothing. If it's not perfect, we don't do it. And it's like, if I would start a new business right now, the business opportunity needs to be literally a 10 out of 10. Everything needs to be perfect for me to even consider anything new. Because I have my two businesses, we're good. Like, I don't need new things if it's not going to be perfect. And this is the same thing which everybody should think about themselves in the beginning. Like, is my job perfect? No, you didn't research enough then. Like,
Yeah.
I every single time I'm shocked how people are having a job which is minimum wage and it's not fun. How the fuck do you
Yeah.
do a job? At least have fun. Like, at least work in a surf shop as the guy who's always talking to people, and then can at least do something funny, which is going to pay the same amount of money. You know?
That's right. That's right. And a lot of my friends, I've been to university, and a lot of my friends are from there and graduating, and they're kind of in high level jobs,
Mhm.
that usually jobs where your parents are proud of you and so on. Looks nice on the outside. And I see so many people, and when you go talk to them and like talking about what you're doing right now and how's everything, haven't seen each other in a while. So many people say that, yeah, you're having this job at this consulting company or something like that, and it's an okay job, but it's not really perfect, and maybe staying there for a couple of years, get some experience, and then going somewhere else. And yeah, I would like to start my own company as well, but maybe in 10 years, like, no, you don't need experience. Please, if you want to start a business, do it now. Like, just jump in.
And the mental thing is, in a lot of the cases, just that you feel very, very not ready, and you think you need some kind of expertise to start, when in reality you get the expertise from starting. And it's just literally the opposite. And I have a friend, and she's she wants to start like an SEO agency. So basically she wants to do SEO for other people. And I'm constantly telling her, just start the agency in the beginning. Worst case, if you mess up and somebody is not happy, just refund them. You're gonna learn for free. So they pay you and then you refund them. Nothing happened. And she's just working at this SEO agency for like almost 1.5 years. And she thinks, I need to work at that company to learn to actually be able to start the business. But in reality, it's just not like that. And learning first is the wrong, like, it's the same thing as watching 150,000 YouTube videos before launching your product. It's just this mental mistake which you constantly get. And you're also not gonna learn how to do boxing from watching boxing videos. It's just not how it works.
That's
so
right.
You need to be in the field and doing exactly the thing which you need to be doing and nothing else.
Yeah, and then there's this thing that people do things because they look good on the resume. Yeah, that's not really a good way to look at things.
Not at all. And you also you like every action you used to be doing is like, am I actually doing it for me, or is it because mom told me this is what I need? Am I doing it for me, or is it because my friends all were saying that I need to have money? I need, like, everybody was thinking money is cool, that's why I need to do it. Is it for that, or is it for something else? And at some point you just realize what actually is important, and you just set your priorities that way. Like, for me personally, my priority is that my entire family has a good life. That's it. Like, this is my priority. I already have my good life. I'm doing well. Don't need more money. I'm not working to make more money for me. Like, I'm 100% set. But my family, like, my entire family is not. And there's a lot of people, like, there's a lot of facets coming to that. And I just think that you need to understand what the reasons are for what you're doing at some point, but only at some point, because I can, like, you're watching this right now, I can guarantee you having more money is going to help. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what's going to change, but it will help. Okay, so don't think that you need to have this why to start. Like, you just don't. I didn't think I need to make more than even literally 5K a month. Like, I thought I'm good with like 3-4K passive, chill somewhere where it's not that expensive, do whatever the fuck I want. That's it. That's what I thought initially when I came into this. I didn't even think of anything else, and it was completely unrealistic to get to like 20, 40, 50, 60, 100. Like, those numbers were just like completely out of my, like, I was not even considering that to be real. But in the end of the day, you just need to go step by step, and don't have to have this why and have this business plan where you break down the numbers. All right, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have like $1 million. To get to $1 million, I need to make like how much, 83K a month, and that means that I need to have X amount of sales and this and that. I never did this. I don't give a shit about that. The number of the million doesn't matter. It's all of the, like, it's just an invention which is completely unreal, but sounds amazing on paper. If I make a YouTube video about talking exactly this, it's going to sound really good. So like, to make $1 million, you need to let's make a breakdown. You need to just do this and this and this and this and this, and that's how you make $1 million. As simple as that. But it doesn't work that way. All of this is useless because you need to just find a good product, make good ads, make a good store, run a good strategy on Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and scale. That's what you need to do, nothing else.
Yeah. I feel exactly the same way. And when some people say that they don't care about money and they don't want money, but also if you have a little bit of money, that's going to free you from a lot of stress. like in daily paying the bills and all that stuff. And if you have your own business, that's usually something you like, or you learn to like it. You don't have to like it at first, but when you get good at something, you like it because you're good at it, and then you just want to keep going. And for example, for me, I mainly only do stuff that I like, or like I mainly do stuff that I like every single day. Of course, there's some boring tasks in the business that you just have to do, but the big picture is something that I just like to do.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel like working, I can go do something else. I can go surf or something like that and get back in a few hours, and that's it. But yeah,
100%.
feels a lot
100%.
better than sitting in an office where you don't want to be.
Yes, yes, and it's a lot of in a lot of the cases I've also seen it's just like a mental excuse where you tell yourself you don't like money, you don't need money because you understood at some point you're not going to be able to get it, and that's a big one. I've seen a lot, like I've talked about this with a lot of friends, and I've seen this over and over and over again, where a person tells me like, "Listen, I feel really comfortable the way I look. I don't need to go to the gym."
Mhm.
And that's not true. That's a lie which they told themselves because they're not disciplined enough to go to the gym. It's the same
That's
thing
right.
with money. It's like they really they really start believing it, and you just lie to yourself. You literally lie to yourself, and you think you don't need money because money is bad.
Yeah.
Money is like for the those kind of people who are just like greedy or whatever, and you start like mentally tricking yourself into being broke forever, basically.
Yeah, you can definitely mentally trick yourself to believe a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
and that can be negative, but it also can be positive. You can trick yourself to thinking like, I don't know, you're a millionaire or something.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just like you can trick yourself to thinking like you're this you're a man who just get things done, and then you
Yeah.
just go do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it works both ways.
It 100% works both ways,
Yeah,
but it's much easier to make it work in the negative way. Like it's way easier to even
yeah,
if you think about it, if you just think about you having an argument with somebody, and I've seen this for me personally. Like I've noticed that this like that was the first moment where I actually noticed that thinking about something actually impacts me as a person, because I remember having like just some bullshit arguments, and then hours later in the shower I'm thinking about it and I'm like, fuck, I should have said this. I gave such a bad response, and I'm super angry, I'm pissed, I feel literally like I'm in that moment again. I feel exactly the same way
yeah,
as in that moment, which means that I just tricked myself into feeling like I was feeling when I was somewhere. This also goes the positive way, and it's just so much harder to actually get there, but it's just 100% possible, because it wouldn't make sense if it's the other way, if it just works this way.
of
So
course. Yeah,
yeah.
I do a lot of it, like getting this certain mental state that kind of, I don't know, feels good and makes me believe that I can do things.
Amazing. So first of all, let's maybe walk through the numbers themselves on the dashboards. So this went up quite fast. I mean, maybe scroll through the month of
Quite
I don't know.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So right here is where we did the last interview. First
Mhm.
100K months. That was
Mhm.
all. That was very fun. But right after that, I think I have to admit I got a little bit lazy, and also a lot of other things happened. Q4 started, it got a high CPM spike, and it got a lot more difficult. I still didn't scale down, but the margins went down a lot, and really had to work on things to get it better. But then everything changed in November when I started running the new product, and basically that felt the same way as I felt way back in March, April this year, when I found the last product, that basically felt like I could do anything on Facebook and it would just give me a good ROAS and scale up. So yeah, I had the kind of this, I feel like there can be a couple easy weeks when you find a new product, and you can just, if it's a really good product, you can just scale up and don't worry about much stuff. So that happened. And yeah, Black Friday happened. Black Friday was great. I was very close to doing a 20K day, Yeah, and it didn't scale much down after that. So yeah, December was quite good. It just stayed almost on that Black Friday, Cyber Monday level, and we just did a 400K, and basically had a proof that this whole thing didn't fall apart because of the scaling and all that stuff, and growing the customer service team, which I was thinking about a lot. Is this back end going to hold up? But basically, December was proof of that it works, and everything went well with the Christmas cutoffs and all that stuff.
Amazing. Maybe you can refresh just to make sure for everybody. But other than
Yeah.
that, look, the jumps themselves. Was it literally just that you spend more money and it made more, or did you do specific things to actually get it there? What systems did you put in place, etc.?
Do you mean the jump from October to
yeah,
November?
I think this was the big. Yeah, I think that was the biggest jump.
Yeah. So what happened was I had this. I still run the product. I've been running since the end of March 2022. But that was kind of losing steam, and margins were going down. As I said, October was really difficult because all of the increased Q4 competition, the CPMs went up. And so then I started running this new product and kind of realized that if I want to have a good Black Friday weekend, I need to focus fully on this. I have a couple other stores as well, but basically I just put the focus on the one single thing that worked the best at that moment, let the old product scale down a bit, and just make the most out of the new one, basically like getting custom creatives right away, optimizing everything as best as I could for what I could do in 3 weeks and all that stuff. So yeah. And also two things happened as well. I hired an email agency around October, and they did the flows ready and started posting campaigns on November, which I did some money as well, because the list was growing at a record rate and the campaigns were actually doing something like 2 to 3K almost, or 1 to 3K per campaign, which were sent out like 15 times a month, and also started scaling on Google. Not a lot, but in December, I think I already spent 20K on Google with a 3 ROAS. So yeah, that was started to be more significant.
100%. So how did the profit change here? Like, how are the margins? Maybe we can also walk through the profit tracking calculations, etc.
Yeah. Okay, should I? Well, I don't have, I changed the AAA recently, so the profit tracking data is not accurate for the earlier months here, but basically September was my first month doing plus 20K profit. And October, that was very low profit, especially when I invested in a couple things like the email agency and bought some creatives and some other things that might help scale this. So October, I didn't do much profit. It was still profitable, but very low margin. And November, profit was above 60K. December, very close to 100K. I would say it's not quite there, but it's like 95 at least.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So first of all, how did that feel? Very first of all.
How did that feel?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
stop the screen share.
Yeah, like of course it feels amazing. But it's not as important anymore. I remember how it felt back in April when I did like first 10K profit a month. That felt amazing. And the first 20K, and then I had like an idea of because if I could do more in a month than I would do in a year if I had stayed at my old job, that would have been a nice goal. And I did it in November. So after that, I don't know. Yeah, it feels great, but it's not like a thing that I'm like chasing that much. And also like, well, of course, now it's optimizing for the profits. I'm not chasing like huge revenue numbers. I think the million kind of did it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how, like, what do you do with all that money? Do you basically just keep and save it? Do you go crazy and spend everything right now?
Well, yeah, I just recently noticed that e-commerce can be a pretty capital intensive business model as well. Luckily, I haven't bought any like nice stuff to flex with or anything like that. I'm just traveling a little bit and living kind of. I have this freedom, but that doesn't cost a lot. Like only like $4,000 a month or so. So with the money, I invested a lot for the Chinese New Year stock, because the sales are still doing good, and I had to prepare very well for 3 weeks or so. So that takes a lot of money, and a few other things as well. Which just kind of scaling just takes a lot of like cash flow just to manage. When you scale up, it can, at this level, it can just quickly like suck up 50K or so, like just like that. And basically, it'll come back in a month or two, but yeah, you have to be prepared to make big moves.
No, for sure. So do you actively, like, when you see something that you want, do you look at the price? Do you look at the numbers? Do you calculate, this is not worth this, this will be worth it? Or is it just like, if I want this, I'm gonna get it and that's it? And be honest about it, because like when I started to do like really good numbers in the beginning, in the first couple of months, I was still not in that mindset of being able to even think about buying like a random thing for a couple of $1,000s, which I don't really need at all. So,
yeah. I know. So you mean like in personal life, not in the business?
No.
So in personal life, I have had to remind myself many times. Okay, you don't have to look at the prices on the menu here or something like that. But yeah, haven't bought a lot of stuff. I still have that mindset, and I think it's good. So it doesn't get out of hand, but I don't really. I've been staying here in Portugal for months now, and I don't really have to look at prices of anything like in restaurants or anything in normal life. I can buy basically any clothes I want if I want something, and if it's not like some Loro Piana or something like that. Yeah, but it's a lot of freedom, of course. And I had all these goals before, like when I make this much in a month, like revenue, if I get to this certain revenue goal, I'm going to reward myself with a watch or something like that. But when I actually got there, I didn't even want it anymore.
Yeah. For me, what I can tell you is basically, I noticed that like I switched a lot in thinking about all of this, because in the beginning I was very much in this thinking of, okay, I can spend not more than 10%, 15% of the money I make, and that's it. After that number is already like over, that's too much for me. But what I'm also thinking, and this like happened maybe the last 1.5 years or something like that, where I started to think differently a little bit, is that is expecting that it's going to go down. If I'm expecting that things are going to go to shit, then I need to save for later. If I'm expecting that everything is going to go much better, that means that the money right now is worth much, much more than later. Because if I think back, if I'm a kid and for €2, I'm going to buy some, I don't know, like Nutella sandwich, whatever I'm buying. Okay, I'm buying that for €2. That's a lot of money for me. But at this point, if I would have saved those €2, it wouldn't change anything at all for right now. And the same thing goes for right now. If I'm saving a couple 100,000, it doesn't matter if it's going to be way, way more in a few months, in a few years, whatever, you know. So it just doesn't make sense. And I was constantly thinking about it, and at some point I just realized that you actually don't need to look at any prices at all, and it truly doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it truly does not matter if you're
Yeah.
obviously, like, you can all go crazy with yachts and like really crazy stuff, but like most of the things are just get it if you want to. And that took
That's
a
right.
long time. It took a very long time for me. But I think it just there's no point in not doing it like that. If you're actually confident in yourself that you will make more money, why not?
Yeah. But also like you've been doing this a lot longer than me,
Yeah.
and also I think it's a lot of new entrepreneurs their businesses go back to zero because they spend all the money and something happens and they don't have the liquidity or
Yeah.
the money to invest in something that's required. But yeah,
I agree with that. I
that's
agree
also
with that.
true.
Yeah.
And also I've tried a couple nice things. I've tried to stay in like nice hotels and stuff like that. But also like that, I just like e-commerce. So I want to have as much kind of dry powder to do big things with the business if other opportunities come up all of a sudden, or in some other business model. Like if I have a good opportunity all of a sudden to invest in something, I want to be able to make the most out of it.
Yeah, I agree also that you do need to have like a pretty strong liquid reserve. And
Yeah.
this, like in general, I would start thinking about like what I just said properly after, I would say, like 400 or 500K in the bank account saved up. And when
Yeah.
that's actually the case, then whatever you want to invest in, it's not going to be that cash flow intensive that you need more normally. And you don't even really have to think about the rest. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like switching topics here, like for you, what would you say are the biggest learnings in general for the last, let's say, 4 or 5 months?
Biggest learnings in general. Well, it's well, I feel like the whole game is just about like mindset. Like you can't get to the kind of the next level or scale up if you don't believe you actually can handle it, and you don't believe it's possible. And also that yeah, you can pay your way out of a lot of problems, and you can pay other people to advise you, and basically if you have the yeah, if you have the cash, you can buy new accounts, and you can buy well, you can buy coaching and all that stuff, so which will help always just get
Yeah,
further.
100%. And for you, like all the team building, how did that go? How did that go? Did you like what's the hiring process for you? How do you determine if a person is good at something?
I would say I'm still very beginner at it, but we now have like four people. And yeah, what's the hiring process? I basically hired 2 people from onlinejobs.ph, and yeah, basically put up a job listing, and interviewed a few people, and some of them just like seemed right, and they had the right skill set, and seemed nice to work with. One guy didn't really have the right skill set. He'd only worked in Amazon businesses before, but I think we just clicked off so well that I decided to hire him anyways. And he learned everything very quickly. It's been very valuable to the business. Like I feel like I got very lucky there, and a few customer service people just basically like got through connections, so I didn't even have to put the listings up.
So were those friends or just people you knew in
Friends
general?
from yeah
Yeah.
friends from here, from the program.
Ah, yeah, nice. And how is it like? How is it to generally work with friends?
Generally work with friends.
Okay.
What do you mean? Generally work with friends.
Well, working with friends, I have a very different experience working with friends versus working with like having employees
Yeah.
who are not my friends or just like completely new people who I didn't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't hired any friends. I didn't know any of
Okay,
these people
got it.
beforehand, but for example, I got one of Blodge's old customer service agents,
Got it.
and through her I found another one, and so on.
Okay, now
And
I
they do
understand.
a really good job.
Yeah.
Also, like I can see that um they are really experienced and they bring a lot to the business. Like they know to do the job way better than me,
Mhm.
and they have a lot of like insights from their old jobs that they can like implement and give me ideas. So yeah, it can work
Yeah.
that way too. It doesn't have to be always that you hire someone for cheap and then you have to teach everything, and it's going to be a tough process, but it can also work this way. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I also agree that it's just much better to hire a person with experience where I don't even have to think about teaching them and they teach me. Because in
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's what I want. If I want something new, for example, what you said with like an email marketing agency, you have no idea about email marketing. What do you want to teach a new person? Like, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So the point here is get a person who actually already knows their shit. And obviously, you're only going to be able to do that after you start making a lot of money, because those like real experts are going to cost a lot of money. Like if you look at a yearly or at the yearly salary, it's going to be high, definitely high 5 figures, sometimes 6 figures a year, which you invest into those things. And the question is just
Yeah.
how is the volume you're actually getting through? Because in the beginning, it's just not worth it at all to hire those people because the volume you're doing is so low. If you have some kind of like online like conversion rate optimizing agency, which are just going to
Hmm.
split test a shit ton of things on your store, those are really worth it, but only after you
Yeah.
start making legit numbers. Up below like
Yeah.
200K a month, around that it doesn't make sense, because the amount you pay them is just going to be so much higher than that 1 extra% in conversion rate. So yeah, but for you, what
Yeah.
were the main challenges which came with going from like 100 to 400K a month?
Yeah, well, I want to add to the last one that it can also happen really quickly that like at some point it doesn't make any sense to hire someone new or
Mhm.
something like a CRO agency or anything like that, a little bit more expensive, a new software like Triple Whale. But it can happen really quickly that you go from 100 to 300 or 400 or something like that. And suddenly that's like a must have. And your mindset is not necessarily yet there, so you have to figure out like, okay, I can spend 1,000 on this and 500 a month on this, and yeah.
Yeah. And also what helped me is breaking down how much I'm making per day. Because
Yeah.
if I truly think about it, if you're saying, for example, like 90K in a month,
Yeah,
that's like 3K a day. If
that's
you
right.
think about 3K, which you spend per, like what you can spend on a daily basis, it's the equal of if you make way less of like a few $100s. So if you're making those numbers, you can literally spend 3, 4, 5K without even thinking about it at all every single day for like a week straight. And that's not going to be a problem, because that's the equal of spending like 150 euros on a normal job per day, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But you truly
Yeah.
have to think about it like this. And you also shouldn't think about it, all right, now I have this peak, it's gonna go down, so I need to save everything I can right now, so nothing goes to shit if something happens. And I would not have this mindset in general, even though for most people it's probably going to be terrible advice. Like for a lot of people this is going to be really bad advice, but I feel like for you in general it will be good, because I do see that you're actually pushing through and doing the things properly. And for me also, like if I think about myself, I give myself kind of very different advice than other people, because I just see that they're not ready to spend a lot of money, because it does feel like luck for them. I have a lot of students who are doing amazing, where I look at them and I'm like, you're not ready, bro. You're not there yet to actually replicate this 5 more times if I would not be here. So
Yeah.
it's in a lot of the cases it's like it feels like a lucky hit where I like select a good product for them, or something happens and they just test it and it does work out. They make a few 100,000, but then what? Like you don't know
Yeah,
what's like really how you did it. It just worked, and you just click a couple of things on Facebook and you spend more money and it worked. But there's a difference in between having like your first winner and actually making consistent profits over like a yearly basis, making your first million. It's like those are very different things, and especially getting from like a couple 100,000 to getting into a million, that is actually normally the difference in between like people who are really advanced and people who just maybe got lucky and nothing crazy was there.
yeah.
Can you hear me well, or is it too loud right now?
Sound quality went down a bit, but it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. And for anyone scaling up and thinking like if someone starts to make okay money and starts to think like, should I spend it or not? I just want to say that I usually have right now 100K on Stripe. So in transit and the estimated future payouts, there's like 100K there. I just bought 65K worth of stock for Chinese New Year. So like that, it just needs a little bit of money to run itself.
It's also impossible to scale to those numbers without being at least like for a couple of months having this cash flow coming in with on 100K or like around that number, so you actually
Yeah,
get a lot of money into your bank account. Because to make a 400K, you need to have over 100K at least on the bank account, just to make sure that shit doesn't go down and that actually everything works out. Because at the end of the day, if you're like, how much are you spending on ads per day, every day consistently?
around 5K.
Like it's not like what you could like, and how are the payouts? Like you obviously don't get like if a sale comes right now, it's not going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. And when you go, oh, the weekend, it's the account balance is going down a lot. But then again, around Thursday, there's going to be a big deposit, usually like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50K maybe, if it's been a good week, and then it kind of comes back. But you really have to have some cash buffer there to make things work.
Yeah, for sure. Um, on scale, with all the customer supports and stuff like that, what were the main things you changed to actually keep customers happy on a high level?
Well, basically just hiring more people. And even though if like one person can handle a certain amount of tickets, if there's more people, they can handle them better and faster. Um, yeah, everything gets handled faster. The agents are good. They're like professional. They know how to do that stuff. We have a live chat on the website, and people can get answers there, and it's overall just a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. For you, from the program, or from me, or from the team, the other guys, what would you say were the main learnings we've gotten from like since the last interview we did?
Sorry, mainly
Can you hear me?
learnings from like last few months or so.
Yeah, from the last 2 months from this program, from me or the
Yeah.
team or whatever.
There's been I'll say this again, but there's been a lot of times like when I'm thinking like, should I scale up or just stay at this level? And then someone just says like, yeah, just increase the budget, and then we're going again. But yeah, and that ends up with the business growing. And what else? Kind of always, it's a lot of small things, but just having kind of an expert opinion on stuff and bouncing ideas, and if something happens and I have an idea, and I tell it to you, and that can prevent a lot of stupid things from happening. Hear your opinion on it first.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any examples for like specific things which were there, which you wanted to do and you got advice to not to do, or something like the other way?
Yeah. So there was this one day I just woke up. It was a couple of weeks after Black Friday. I changed suppliers in a very kind of a hectic environment, and well, I knew the suppliers already, but I just had to do a little bit of a back and forth because of some stock issues and product things and with price and all that stuff. So a couple of weeks after I made the switch, I started to get reviews and tickets on customer service that it doesn't actually look like the product photos. It's a slightly different design. It's not too bad, but it's slightly different. And yeah, there was around 1.5 thousand orders out at that point of that like wrong product. and I thought like, oh, what am I gonna do? Like, this is going to be so bad. I'm gonna get banned of all the payment processors and all that stuff because people are going to notice. And I asked you about if I should do some kind of announcement. The customers are trying to like make it better before they decide to complain, and you said immediately that was a bad idea, and I totally get it. But I was kind of at that point I was kind of panicking a little bit and probably didn't think as clearly as I as I could have.
In general, you need to understand one thing, and maybe I can get into like this way of thinking of, okay, I need to let somebody know before they even noticed anything is a huge mistake. And I have a very personal story about this where I remember, I think it was like around 1.5 years ago, where my dad got sick and he basically had to go to the hospital. And the guy from the hospital calls me and he's like, listen, we don't have any helicopters, but he's gonna go with the ambulance from this city to this city. And instantly I'm panicking because why the fuck is there no helicopter? Instead of like, he let me know that there's no helicopter and there's an emergency, they need to take him with a helicopter, but they're not going to be able to because of their bullshit, you know? And I was panicking instantly because I was thinking like, there's a procedure which should be there. It's not there. But if they just told me he's going from this city to this city right now in the ambulance, that would be very, very, very different. And it's the same thing for you. And I was thinking about literally that because you're gonna like every customer is instantly gonna panic if they just hear that something is wrong with their order and they're like, yeah, I don't want that. And only after they notice, they're gonna think like, all right, it's not that bad. So
and what ended up happening is the dispute rate didn't increase at all. I now have a good customer support team. They did their job well, and didn't get any more disputes than usual. And some people were angry about it. Some people were like sending messages that we're going to tell everyone that you're selling a different product, and they didn't like believe that, oh, that was just a mistake, we can send you a new one, that's the right one. But it was not too much of a problem. Still get a few comments every now and then under the ads. But also I got a lot of 5-star reviews with a photo with the wrong product. So
yeah, it's the same thing as like, imagine you're like a tattoo artist, and I have like a friend who was telling me this, he's a tattoo artist, and he was like, I had like that he had like another colleague who always reacted on his mistakes. He did a mistake and he was like, oh fuck, and the customer instantly panicking because they know that the guy fucked up, and the professional tattoo artist should just shut the fuck up and listen, like only tell them after they notice something, because they're not going to even see that there's some kind of mistake, and they're this professional who has this eye for everything needs to be perfect, whatever. The customer doesn't see that. And literally the same thing goes here. But yeah, I think that that would have been a really, really bad, actually. Like if you let everybody know, it would be terrible.
Definitely.
For you, how do you manage Facebook blogs? Like, do you have any? Do you just have like a couple accounts which are super stable? Are you just lucky? What's going on there?
I just don't have any. It's that simple. I have a whole backup set up, and I've been preparing for it. But I think in general, the account has a good history, and the products are kind of safe for Facebook. I try to not push any policies too much. Like it's pretty safe, and yeah, it's been okay. Had a couple page blocks and only had a couple blocks back when I started, and did some like beginner stuff that usually leads to blogs. But after that, it's been fine. And now I have a I'm working with this like an account manager, and we're even having like they have some kind of creative professional, and we have calls, and they look at the creatives and if it violates any policies. Yeah, I don't know if that helps, but it's fun. It's a good idea to have some insiders, of course.
Yeah, for sure. And for you, did you like how's friends and family and everybody reacting to this at this point? Did anything change, or is it basically this you're just the ecom guy who's doing weird stuff and making a shit ton of money with it?
Well, I don't know yet. Like I feel like now is kind of the time that some rumors are starting to go around, and different people react differently. My family, when I started this business, my family and friends, they of course they didn't believe in it. Like no one ever does. And it just looks funny, like someone's trying to sell some like small items on the internet and having like a few sales here and there, losing a couple hundred a month, and it just doesn't look like a business. It doesn't look like there's any potential there for anyone who doesn't actually know the business model. And yeah. But my parents really understood it recently. They kind of know what's going on. They don't know much about the numbers. My grandparents, they of course they don't get like internet business stuff. I guess they're still sometimes asking like, how you apply to any jobs or something like that. I just always thought that that would be a very bad financial decision to do. But yeah, and some friends understand it. Some friends like people react to it differently. If someone is an entrepreneur themselves, they really get it, and like it's you really see that with certain friends, you can have a really kind of a lot deeper conversations and things like talking about all this stuff in life and all like business strategies and all that stuff. But with some people, just it feels like there's less and less things in common, which is unfortunate. Sure. But yeah, that happens. And also I also have a lot of friends who work in corporate finance and investment banking and all that stuff, and they've seen it early on, like because they can see the fundamentals. They do this. They do company transactions for a living, so they can really see the fundamentals under there and see like, okay, this might have some potential.
Yeah, I've seen a similar thing. But definitely when I also saw a very big shift for people who don't understand the internet stuff, like for example my grandparents, is just after you give them money. Like literally if I come there, I just bring them a shit ton of cash and say, don't even like just give it to them. And like when I did that the first time, they like that was a shifting moment for them. They were like, wait, like is that real money, or like is that drug money? What's going on? But basically they're just still like they think it's some kind of internet voodoo stuff, but they understand that it is working, and that's kind of their mental like safety net. But it's also interesting but you didn't tell your parents about the numbers. Interesting. Like I don't think I know a lot of people who don't tell anything to their in terms of the numbers.
I thought about it like first when people didn't believe in this stuff, I just thought like I gotta show it to them, like, hey, I'm gonna work at this, and when I make my first I don't know, 10K a month or so. I'm just gonna go and show everyone that I was right. But that didn't ever happen. Like after that, you don't need to do that. It's just like I'm just letting them know that they can see that I'm doing okay, and that's kind of enough.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But what kind of advice would you give to people who are at around 100K a month? What would you tell them to like on how to scale?
Road to 100K a month.
No. Like you're already at 100K a month. How do you scale beyond that?
Oh, from there. Yeah, like it's like always, don't be afraid to spend some money. If you're making profit, you can buy a lot of things that will take things off your table. Like for example, I was doing profit tracking for 4 different Shopify accounts on the spreadsheet with plus 50 products. And that started to take a lot of time, and just like paying 300 or 500 a month for triple whale with like the profit tracking perfectly set up and the tracking for the ads, it's a huge help. And also, like, don't be afraid of hiring more people. Like I said, I think one of the things that really let me scale further is I hired a person to do all kinds of creative stuff, editing videos, making product pages, looking for new products, and that just helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I'd also say that hiring like one good hire is worth like 30 to 40% of your revenue just boosted. Like if you have a really, really, really good hire, it's insane how much money you're making. It's just crazy. One thing I would tell you, like, do you have like one person who's like your proper like personal assistant?
No, I don't have a personal assistant, but I'm thinking about it.
It's worth it. Like I would be careful with who to hire, and ideally it should be somebody like in terms of like some girl who's already working at like a doctor's office and she's the assistant there, or some lawyer's firm or something. Like if you need the person who has experience in being like basically an executive assistant. It's a game changer. Like your private life is going to change like crazy, because all the bullshit you just don't want to deal with is going to be dealt for you, which is probably the best thing you can buy with money. Like it's literally the best thing you can buy with money is literally all the bullshit which you don't want to deal with. Not my problem. You just say do this and it's done. That's it.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
I would say 100% it's so worth it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, but then I've been thinking about like what would he or she actually do? Like
don't think about that. Don't think about that. Don't think about it. They're gonna be things like just for even if you would have a full-time hire and they just do it part-time, or like half a day they work on something, it's 100% worth it. Okay, even if you literally pay them double of what you need to pay them, it's worth it. It's just worth it, because every single time you need to you don't need to book flights, you don't need to do this, you don't need you just give them criteria of what you want and they're gonna make everything for you. So my advice to you, 100%, 100%. That should be the next move.
That's a very good idea. And going back to the advice for going from 100K and up, like the same thing. Don't be afraid to hire someone if you don't think like you don't have work for him or her full time.
Yeah.
Like this one guy who finds who does kind of all kind of creative stuff. I don't always have work for him, and it's totally fine. Like he probably has a really good job. Like gets paid well and doesn't have to work that much. But when he does work, it's very helpful. And if I have like any creative idea and like let's do a product like this and let's do like a video like this, I can just like kind of send a message and he will give me something and I say, okay, this is quite not it, do it again, or something like that. But like it just, yeah, it helps a
Also,
lot.
also space is being filled over time automatically. If you have a person who you hire full time, in the beginning, you're going to have them part time, you're going to have them a few hours per day, and they're just going to wander around to bullshit for like 5 hours a day. But
Yeah,
it's going to change. Like if you just keep pushing through that, and even you don't have to think about paying for time. You have to think about paying for the actions which are done for you.
mhm,
And as long as the actions which are done for you are great, we're all good. And on top of that, the time also will be filled later on. Like if you just have a full-time person who's constantly there, it's impossible for them to not do a full-time job after like 4, 5, 6, 7 months. And if you think about it that
yeah,
way, it's all good.
yeah,
As long as you have a person who you actually can trust, who's loyal, who is really, when you tell them something, you don't have to say twice. You just have a person who's just doing exactly what you ask them for properly, always, and that's it. That's good. Like that's the only thing we need. The rest is the rest is teachable. So
yeah.
yeah. Let's talk about the goals from now. Like what's the plan on, let's say, the next like 6 to 12 months?
Yeah. It's, as always, it's getting things more stable and kind of making things more legit, I would say. Kind of getting out of this dropshipping mindset to building an actual business and building systems and building a machine that just works and hopefully spits out cash flow every single month. And also, yeah, of course, scaling up, getting just going, finding more people in the right positions that can help ease my workload and get like new expertise in the business and yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That
By
kind
the
of
way,
stuff. Yeah.
did you already connect with Mo?
I didn't yet.
Or reach out to him? I
Yeah,
think it's going to be a really, really, really good connection.
yeah.
So like, I actually
Thanks.
think that.
Yeah, I have to do it.
But yeah, how like to sum it up overall, how would you say was the experience working with me, and like what would you tell to other people?
Yeah, like I remember when I got into the first call with you, I've just seen some Alex Hormozy videos, and he always talked about like how you can buy a skill set, how you can buy skill set to make 1 million for 50,000 or something. Yeah, and I totally believe in it. Especially after this one. Before this one, I just had bought a couple of courses and really struggle with those. Of course, that's how it works. But if you have someone who kind of just, yeah, if you have an expert who can always tell something, it can some kind of solution for almost any problem through you or through the network. It's just like a cheat code to save a lot of time, like not hours, like months, years, maybe. Yeah, like I feel like I don't have to struggle with any like technical side of things at all, or even like strategy wise. If something happens, there's someone who can help me here. And that's just that is a huge help, and it's worth a lot of money. And I think I will continue spending a lot of money that the business generates on like consulting and coaching going from now on as well.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best investments to make.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen it for myself. I've seen it constantly over and over again. And it's just in the beginning, you feel like you want to try things by yourself to prove that you're not able to, and then only then you're able to spend money on mentoring because you're such a marketing expert and you know everything. You've already studied marketing, you know psychology, whatever you think all of those things, and you think, all right, I don't need a mentor. I'm just gonna figure it out. It's not a problem. I have YouTube videos. There's so many videos which I can watch, which are gonna literally explain exactly what I should do.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way.
That's it. And just never forget that or think that you know everything. Like I always try to have that beginner mindset. For example, now it's good. Like on Google. I'm scaled on Google, but I don't know anything about Google Ads. I'm just being lucky, so I'm going to hire someone to teach me or do the media buying for it. But that's just one good example. And yeah, if I would think I know everything, I could probably keep the business at some level, like the level I have gotten into, but then there will be a lot of problems coming up that I haven't had before, and then I would still need help with those. And if I want to get further, scale this thing bigger and go forward, of course I need help, because I haven't been there yet. I don't know how to do it. And some people do this for a living. They scale businesses, e-commerce businesses, to millions. Yeah, so of course they know better than me.
Right, correct. And in the end of the day, it's just coming down to just letting your ego aside and thinking, truly, do you actually know exactly what to do? If you're doing something, do you know that you're doing the right or wrong thing? Because in the beginning, what you're going to see is you're going to do something and you're going to have result X. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, but you will not be sure if every action you do is going in the right direction. Because if something negative happens, you don't know if the strategy is the problem, if you're doing just having a shitty product, if the algorithm is a problem, if your ad is the problem, if you should switch, whatever, you don't know. And it's impossible, it's literally impossible to tell. You're going to think about soft metrics. Hey, my conversion rate is low, that's why I need to improve the store. Hey, I'm going to see my cost per click is low, that's why I need to improve my ad. But in the end of the day, you're guessing. You have no clue what the actual problem is when you test a product and it doesn't work. And that's something you're not going to get off YouTube at all. Like I'm literally doing YouTube videos, but I already can tell in the video that I can only speak to a certain audience. And the advice is always justifiable to 1 out of 5 people, to 1 out of 50 people, because they're in a specific situation. And whenever you have like a very specific situation with context, there's no general advice. You cannot just say, if conversion rate is X, you need to do X. It doesn't work that way. But other than that, again, for everybody else watching right now, if you're truly interested and actually are serious about all of this, if you're actually truly committed to doing ecom, sign up for the call with me. We're going to find out the perfect fit, and if yes, we're going to start working together. It's just going to be me walking you through finding a good product and scaling it. As simple as that. And if you already are there, where you have you are making, let's say 50 to 100K a month, and things are doing well, but it's very inconsistent, and you have a good month and then a bad month, and then you have some problems with just external bullshit. This is also for you. This program is not super beginner friendly or super advanced friendly. We have literally a lot of people, super beginners, a lot of people mediocre, intermediate, and a lot of advanced people were coming to me with having they already made millions of dollars in ecom, and they still come to me with questions. And I 100% know that I'm going to be able to help out because I have a huge network of exactly those people. Everybody who started to work with me as a beginner or as an intermediate or whatever, at some point, a lot of people got to an advanced stage. And I have the opportunity to be able to ask them whatever I want, whenever I want. And because they're thankful to me, I can just ask you, hey, can you explain to me exactly how this specific thing works? And you're not going to deny that. You're going to do it just because there's basically in feeling where, yeah, sure, this hell guy helped me out. Now it's my turn. It's not a problem at all. And I'm just seeing this for every student who's advanced. And it doesn't matter if one person has, I don't know, a few $1 million in experience, because with all my students combined have 100% more than you, 100%, not you personally, but I'm talking to the audience, 100% way more than you. And yeah, that's it. Basically, if you're interested, click the link below and talk to you there.